What's up, guys? It's Alex here, back for another video. And quick announcement before I get into this video is we are up to the winners final now in the Jebus Cup tournament. And today, myself and Crackbrained are going to be commenting game number 2 at 6 p.m. Moscow time. It is going to be Savitar versus Helllight. So once again, if you guys want to check out high-level gameplay with English commentary, do join us. Should be pretty fun. So in this video, what I want to do is do an overview of Castle, basically the same way as I did my other overviews. I'm not going to do a demonstration here. I'm just basically going to discuss the strengths and weaknesses. So Castle overall is a pretty good town. It is the top of the mid-tier, I would say, and I think most people consider it the top of the mid-tier. Certainly a little bit worse than Necro, Conflux, and Dungeon, but I would say better than Rampart, Tower, and Fortress. So as far as the advantages for Castle go, well, first of all, you are on grass, so you're not facing terrain penalty like you do with Fortress or Tower, for example. You do have stables in your town, which is great. It provides an extra 400 movement to all of your heroes, so that usually allows you to reach much farther. Like, for example, here, if you have a hero sped up in your main town on like an angel, and you are also stabled up, you may even be able to reach this center town. Actually, let me check. I'm actually curious about that right now. So let's just see. No, so it's a little bit more. It's 3,000 movement. But for example, let's say you had Dimension Door, and maybe you had like logistics or something like that, then you would be able to reach it. Or on even a logistics hero. But anyway, the point is that with stables, you can certainly move a lot more, and even your scouts move a lot more. So that's certainly a pretty good advantage that Castle has. Another advantage is the fact that your units are quite strong. So, well, first of all, usually you're going to be starting as Valeska, and usually you're going to have somewhere around 30 archers, or, you upgrade them, you get marksmen on day 1, which means that you can do a lot of fights that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do with some other factions, just due to the fact that you can basically do a lot of fights without taking any damage, because you just shoot the creatures down before they can actually reach you, right? So, and overall, castle units are quite strong. So you have the best tier 1 unit in the game. The pikemen are pretty beefy, and as far as stats and HP go, they're the best. Crusaders, I believe, are the best level 4 unit in the game. And champions and cavaliers are really good tier 6 as well. And you also have the best tier 7 unit in the game, which is the angel and the archangel. And yeah, so basically Castle probably has the strongest unit composition out of all of the towns. And the biggest strength, I would say, for Castle is the fact that you can build angels in your town, and it synergizes really well with Portals of Glory and Consus, right? So, if you have external Portals of Glory and you build angels in your town, and actually the build path for angels is quite viable. You basically can build angels on day 5 if you go straight for the build path. So it's certainly not the most difficult build path, like building dragons as Rampart or Dungeon is certainly much more difficult. It does cost a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to build angels and archangels and upgrade them. They are quite expensive. However, usually you will have enough gold to at least build angels on week 1. It's very common. Castle is probably the most common town to actually build angels on week 1 and also go for the Archangel upgrade. It's probably the most common to go for the tier 7 upgrade with Castle than any other town. And the thing about it is that if you do that, if you build angels and you take portals of glory externally, and then you have conces, that just keeps growing your angel stack, right? As opposed to a town like Dungeon, for example. Like let's say you take an external dragon cave, and then you end up taking conces and stuff. Well, then you have 2 different stacks, right? So, and as Castle, that just continues to grow your 1 power stack, and then let's say when you finally do get archangels, you get a huge stack of archangels, which basically just auto combats everything, and it's almost a win condition in itself. So that's probably one of the biggest strengths for Castle, and it is the town that favors biome gaming more so than any other town for this reason as well, because Archangels are a super strong unit, and if you do manage to get Archangels, you're not guaranteed to win, but you would have a really good chance of winning. And even if, you don't have the quickest break, and even if your opponent breaks sooner, but the desert could be not very good, and you come out like on 1-2-2 or 1-2-1 with archangels, that would be you would still have a really good chance of winning. And especially when we're talking about a map like this. So we have a Portal of Glory, we have a Cons, we have a Utopia, and there's also a dungeon side town. So basically, if we take the Portal of Glory, build the Portal of Glory in our town, that's already 5 angels on 1-2-1. And let's say we take the Portal of Summoning, or the Dungeon Town and Portal of Summoning, and we don't spoil it, that's 7 angels on 1-2-1 already. And even if that's a mini cons, that's already 8 angels, right? And 8 angels should be enough to do a size 1 or 2, maybe even a size 3 Utopia. And with that, you can get Archangels, and, then you'll be feeling pretty good. So that's certainly probably one of the biggest strengths of Castle, is the fact that if you do kind of decide to slow play your map and kind of biome game a little bit, break a little bit later, but you would be much stronger, right? Because of the Archangels, or even a huge stack of Angels is also going to be really good. Now, as far as the weaknesses of Castle goes, so the biome gaming is on one hand a strength, but also it can be considered a weakness as well. So the problem with doing that, the problem with having Archangels on like 1-2-1 or 1-2-2 and breaking with that, is the fact that you're going to be kind of slow, right? If your opponent has a really good biome, and let's say he broke 1-1-6, that means that he's going to have an entire 2 turns to farm the desert before you can even get to the desert, right? And let's say your Utopia is nothing special in your town, and your opponent finds something really good in the center, like let's say the center is not bad. Actually, this center looks pretty bad. So in this case, actually, biome gaming for Castle seems like it would win the game. But let's say there is like an Earth Tome, an SOJ, and things like that. And then you end up finally breaking on your like 10 Archangels or whatever on 1-2-2, and your opponent already has 20 all stats and an Earth Tome, and he just kills you with a couple of implosions. So that can certainly happen. I actually had a game not too long ago, maybe a month or so ago, where I was Castle and I got like 15 Archangels on either 1-2-2 or 1-2-3, but my home Utopia was nothing special. I got 2 sacks of gold in a size 3 Utopia. And my opponent was actually able to get like an Earth Tome and 20 all stats, and basically in the final battle, he just killed me because of the magic and stat difference, right? So that is always the risk that you are taking with biome gaming. As Castle, it does favor biome gaming, but by default, you're going to be much slower by doing that than you would be by, let's say, snowballing a bunch of hives and breaking on 1-1-6. So definitely do that kind of, consider that when you are deciding whether you want to biome game or not. Sometimes it can pay off, like in a map like this where the center is pretty bad, but sometimes you may not have a chance because you gave your opponent too much time to farm the center. So It all depends. It certainly depends on RNG. It's certainly more favorable to break earlier. But the other weakness for Castle, and why it's kind of a little bit more favorable for biome gaming is the fact that it's not that easy to snowball as Castle. So Castle does not have an easy time taking objects. You can't really take hives. Like you can do a size 1, maybe a size 2, and you can take them if you find, for example, some additional meat, or if you start with Portals of Glory or something like that. But on just your day 1 army, because your main power stack is archers or marksmen, it is not very good to go into a hive. And going into a picket, you're going to tie speed with the Wolf Raiders with your upgraded marksman on Valeska. So that's also not very favorable. You're very likely to lose your entire archer stack if you go into a picket. So basically, you're kind of limited to going for dwellings first, like Portal of Glory, maybe a Cavalier dwelling, before you actually start snowballing things like hives and pickets. So that would be one of the weaknesses of Castle, is that it is not that easy to start snowballing. And because of that, it is not necessarily the highest tempo town. So towns like, let's say, Fortress or Dungeon can get much higher tempo by just, let's say taking a size 3 hive on day 1 and just snowballing with that and then breaking like 116. So Castle has a much harder time doing that. And let's say your map is not that favorable. Let's say you don't find any Portals of Glory and you just go and build angels that helps you start snowballing. Well, that's going to be usually day 6 that you actually build your angels, because usually you'll go for the archer upgrade on day 1. So that is probably the main kind of strength and weakness of Castle, right? The strength would be the fact that you can biome game and you can snowball your angels and you can go for archangels, and it's more viable and kind of more beneficial than any other tier 7 upgrade. However, at the same time, Castle is not the highest tempo town, and because of that, you may lose if your opponent gets a really good biome and he can tempo better than you. And another weakness as far as Castle goes, probably the second biggest weakness, is the fact that Castle heroes are nothing special. Like, you don't really have good heroes. You usually start with Valeska, because of the 3 stacks of archers. However, oftentimes you don't actually main Valeska because Castle heroes don't have that great of a chance of rolling Earth Magic, and usually you would want to find another hero that's a better candidate for a main, like a good Beastmaster, or maybe an Overlord, something like that. So that's about it for strengths and weaknesses. And only one more thing that I did want to mention, kind of a gameplay tip. If you do go for Portals of Glory as Castle, I usually try to do it on a tactics hero and with a ballista. That way you do not risk dying to morale. A lot of times, there's a lot of games where people will GG as Castle on 113 or 114 because they went into the Portal of Glory with Valeska, without tactics, and actually, the angels morale because they have +2 morale, so they have a higher chance of morale, and they just go right into your archer stack, and you basically die. You can't really do anything. So for that reason, I will usually find a tactics hero and bring a ballista with me so that the angel actually hits the ballista and that tanks a couple of hits. And that way you actually protect yourself against morale, and usually you do not risk dying. I mean, you could still possibly die because you do less damage on a tactics hero, on like a random tactics hero, than you do on Valeska, because Valeska does have that archer specialty, and she does have archery as well. So you do less damage on a random tactics hero like Therese or somebody, or like Dace. However, usually you will be able to still take it. I mean, usually you can still survive like 1 or 2 morales on the angels. It's only if they get like 3 or 4 or more morales, which is possible, but it's not that likely. So certainly I would suggest taking Portals of Glory on a tactics hero. Okay guys, so that's everything that I wanted to discuss in this video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this useful. And as always, if you guys want to see more Heroes 3 content, I do stream live on Twitch. The link to the stream will be in the video description below. I stream Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, starting around 10 a.m. Ukrainian time. Okay, so thank you guys for watching once again, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.